It's hard to listen to you and talk at the same time.
You don't listen to me anyways. What are you talking
right?
about? It's hard to listen
You're
to
full
me.
of
If you had ever started listening to me at all, period,
Yeah,
even a
I
little
don't
bit.
listen to you.
All right. Stop running your dang mouth. Here we go.
Hi.
Hi.
You gonna start us off?
This is your episode. Welcome back, everyone. We're on episode 3 now of the Strengthen Your Herd podcast. Last time we talked, I talked probably too much, probably sick of it by the end, but told you about what Strengthen Your Herd means to me. And today, Tiffany is going to tell you what Strengthen Your Herd means to her. So, yeah, that's what we're here for today. So, Tiffany, what do you got to say?
Well, I thought about like planning this out and realized that that's just not how my brain works. So we're kind of winging it.
Screw it, we'll do it live.
I think that you did a great job covering a little bit of where Strengthen Your Herd came from, where we were in our lives when we kind of came up with the motto theory of Strengthen Your Herd. I know that is something that, even though we only, coined a phrase to go with it a couple years ago, it's something that you and I have both implemented in our lives for a very long time, even if we didn't have the term for it.
Yeah, I think I said it was a deep-rooted and long-standing core value.
Yeah.
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
And I think we've both shown that before we were together in different ways, and growing up and things like that. But then also after we got together, it became a lot more important as part of our marriage. When I think of Strengthen Your Herd, to me, my head goes immediately into the current and the future. I think about what I want out of life, what I want in our marriage, the example that I want our kids to see in our marriage, in our parenting and growing up, things like that. And so I think it's important to talk about how we kind of implement those in the different areas of our life, and how Strengthen Your Herd applies to all of our things and not just our business, which just because it's our business motto doesn't mean we just came up with a catchy slogan to put on our business name.
We haven't built or organized our lives around a business. We built a business around our life.
Exactly.
That was the foundation. We were headed in a direction. And like we said in the last one, we say business as a formality. It's neither of our day job. I can't quit my day job. You're still doing photography and stuff like that. So it really is a value first thing that we're trying to do here.
Yeah. Which is, I think, why it resonated so much when you did think about that, and we decided that was going to be how we presented ourselves. It's my version, but I want you to explain what you tell people when you knew you wanted to marry me. Not the whole story where we were and all that stuff, but you've given advice. You've married a couple people, and by that I don't mean you've had multiple wives. I mean you have officiated a couple of weddings, and you talk about that moment when you realized you wanted to be married.
Do you?
Yeah.
Yeah.
Not just married in general. But.
Yeah, I wasn't just floating through life like, oh, I think I want to be married. There was, the short version is I started making decisions for you. What was best, not for me, But for you and for us, we were just dating, but I was like, well, I think this girl is the one. And instead of, going through day-to-day life, making day-to-day decisions or big decisions or whatever, every decision I made was in the interest of you. Like, will this work for me? Okay, that's nice, but will it work for her? Mm-hmm. Will this work for us? And putting you first in that decision-making process was it. And it wasn't something that I felt obligated to do. It was something that I wanted to do. Mm-hmm. It's like, this next decision I'm about to make, what is best for her? And that's how I wanted to make my decisions. Mm-hmm. And that was a big mindset shift and direction shift for me. And here I am now, tied down with the old ball and chain.
Yeah.
Yeah.
A few less guns, a few slower, older cars than you would.
Not less. Not as many as I would have had, but certainly not less.
Not less than you did, but less than you would have if you were still making decisions just based on what you want.
Yeah.
So I always think about that and how we were implementing that even when we were just dating. I've been in relationships in the past where that's not how it was. It was separate everything. We make our own decisions. I'm a strong, independent woman. I don't need no man. And,
and there's merit to that. There's like, you don't need me.
No.
I don't need you. But we need each other. Mm-hmm. Like, each of us, to one degree or another, are capable of doing almost everything the other person is. But if we talk about just specific, like, traditional roles, the wife stays home and cooks and cleans and raises the babies while the man goes out and does the work and the labor and stuff like that. It's not to say that you can't go build fence, or that I can't make dinner, or that you can't go have a career and bring in a paycheck, or that I can't take care of a kid all day. But neither of us can do all of that. And I can't do all of that. You can't do all of that.
It isn't in the best interest of you for me to go out and work 60 hours a week. Like, I've done that before. Mm-hmm. We've been in a position where I was working 2 full-time jobs at the same time. At some points there were 3 jobs. Mm-hmm. And once we had children, it's what's in the best interest for all of us.
Yeah.
And so, to me, Strengthen Your Herd starts with, you kind of talked about yourself. Am I taking care of myself? Am I getting what I need? For me, it's a very quick leap to what's best for our marriage. And a very long time ago, I couldn't even tell you who told me, but it's stuck in my head. Somebody said that you need to put your marriage first, because they were there before your kids and they'll be there after.
Mm, yeah.
And I really took that to heart, because, we struggled for a long time to have kids, and you were there for all of those struggles. And
oh, I hope so.
I mean,
if it was our struggle to have kids together, I hope I was around.
And we had to look at life as, maybe it won't ever happen. Maybe it is just going to be you and I forever.
Yeah.
And that is
That's very hard.
That's very hard.
Very hard.
Yeah. And
in
so,
a lot of different ways.
When I think about that, I think about, like, our kids aren't going to know really that struggle. We'll explain it to them. I hope they never know it firsthand.
Yeah.
But to have a partner that you can rely on, they need to be able to rely on you as well. And so putting our marriage first, even before kids, which is a very sensitive subject for some people. Some people really think, your kids come first always. And I think that there's a time and a place where you have to make decisions to prioritize a child's safety, their health, things like that. But
yeah, and it's not to say that the kids are second to us. Like, I think that we're all each other's first priority in some sense. So I don't want people to think that, the kids don't matter because the husband or the wife comes first.
It's more decisions.
Yeah, because when it comes time for Christmas, I got a blender bottle, you got a pair of slippers.
Yeah.
And then Owen, we took care of Owen in some big things. So we put ourselves, I think, individually second to the kids, but the way we put the kids first is being there for each other and being strong for each other.
And I think when it comes time, I mean, right now, Owen can only get into so much trouble, but when it comes time to kids, they start to learn, like, to play off of, well, Dad'll say yes to ice cream and Mom won't. Or, Mom's not going to let us go do jumps off the four-wheeler, but Dad will. And, there's a lot of that. And I think kids are smart. So I'm hopeful that in the future, we are on the same page for 90% of our parenting calls. We won't always be on the same page, but having each other's backs is important. When it came to making decisions about our kids' health, we've had to he will be a year next month, and we've had to make hundreds of decisions already.
Just in the mission to have a kid.
Yeah.
And then once you were pregnant, what does the prenatal care look like? And then once he was here, what medical decisions and health decisions were we making? And the looks we get sometimes, it's whatever. We're doing the best we can.
Some of it's by different generations and the fact that I never put socks on my kid. Some of it is by the same generation and, some medical decisions we've made there.
Or like Owen's first food ever. What was it?
Bison filet mignon.
Yeah. Like at 6 months old, he had a bison steak.
Yeah. We didn't do purees.
No purees or the cereals or this or that. Like we talked about in the last one, we recognized the benefit of that fuel for us.
Yeah.
And we want to set that healthy foundation for our kid too. So, and plus it's just cool.
Yeah.
He's never going to know it, or he'll know it, but he's never going to realize.
I'm pretty sure I had like a snap of him the other day saying he was a caveman dragon slayer. Like,
oh yeah, he was carrying around and gnawing on a big old ribeye bone.
Yeah.
And he was happy as could be.
Yeah.
Like, he's not interested in other stuff.
And we didn't make any of those decisions alone.
Yeah.
We didn't make any of those decisions lightly or without an insane amount of research, probably over-researched a lot of things.
Yeah.
Michael's an over-researcher, so it's hard for him to find that line. But it's...
The more you learn about something, the more you realize you don't know a dang thing.
Yeah.
Yeah. Those rabbit holes go deep.
Yeah. So strengthening your herd in our marriage and then in our parenting decisions and in the health of ourselves and our kids. We grew up in a very different time where we didn't have access, or they didn't have access. Our parents and our grandparents didn't have access to pull out their phone while they're sitting on the toilet and Google, why does my baby's poop look like this? Because every mom has done that. And they didn't have those resources. They didn't have, like, what is the first food and why should I give my baby that food at their fingertips? They had a pediatrician. And
an oral tradition.
And
you
calling grandma.
Your friends, usually siblings, but certainly like mom or the new grandma.
Yeah. If you're lucky enough to have
maybe some aunts,
those.
something like that. Yeah, but there was no Facebook support group for new moms of this specific due date. Like, it's wild, the stuff that you guys have now.
Yeah, and to be able to research and have those resources and do that is a way that I found myself strengthening us as a family.
Yeah.
Hoping that in the future, our children don't deal with infertility like we have.
Mm-hmm.
Hoping that in the future, they don't deal with asthma and allergies and autoimmune disorders and you name it, the ailments and things like that. And so putting bison and things like that first in Owen's repertoire of food, is another way of strengthening our herd. And from there, it just keeps going. So
Well, and I'm going to stop you there because even all the benefit it'll be to Owen, like the burden you relieved on me has been huge too, because part of us doing this right together is we agree in those priorities and how important those decisions are. I don't have the time to do that digging and do that research, and I don't have the maternal instinct and mom's intuition to know what's best for the kid in all those moments and all those critical decisions. So the burden that you relieved on me by trying to make sure that you're prepared to do what's best by Owen has been huge.
Yeah. And we're not perfect, and things don't go perfectly. Our birth didn't go perfectly. We wanted unmedicated in a bathtub, at the hospital still, but, as natural as could be. And I ended up in a C-section. Like it happens. It wasn't ideal, and we pivot and we move on. But we have the same goals and ideals. And then, we'll get to this in another topic down the road, is full on kids nutrition. I wanted to breastfead until 2. Then I got pregnant, and apparently my body said, I'm going to keep 1 kid alive, not 2. So, things like that, we pivot and we change and we make the best decisions that we can given the circumstances. And so strengthening your herd really plays into our marriage, our parenting, our business. I try to think about, it's been a hard thing for me to do in the last year and a half, since I got real pregnant with Owen, to step back from businesses, and wanting to take on all these things and bring in a lot of extra income. And it's, things get tight when we were used to relying on my income. And here we are. We are confident in that decision, because we really feel that the best thing is for me to be home with our kids and us to be the ones raising them. That doesn't make it easy.
Yeah, those last 4 or 5 days at the end of the month, they're definitely not easy.
No.
Waiting for the next check and the next bill cycle.
Yeah, but, dig into the bottom of the freezer. And
it's it was the right decision for our family.
Yeah.
Absolutely it was.
But in that, I find myself, so for those who don't know, I started a photography business, about 10 years ago. Something like that.
Yeah, probably something like that.
And I reluctantly, in the beginning, agreed to do a couple of weddings for friends for free, because I did not want to shoot weddings.
We're not worth being paid yet.
Yeah, and then by year 2, 3, I was like, pretty dang good at this. My heart is in photographing other families similar to ours, ranchers, people in the ag world, things like that, and demonstrating what a family owned and operated business and farm and things like that are. But we love weddings too. We enjoy being the calm in the storm of a wedding day. Something I think about.
Sometimes we're just putting out fires for them. Yeah, and that's fine. We love doing it.
And I think that applies strengthen your herd to that too, because on a wedding day, it's about the bride and the groom. It's not about the fact that all 13 groomsmen ordered skinny dress pants and wore cowboy boots.
Yeah, that did happen.
The bride doesn't need to know that. Yeah. We just go get new shoes. It doesn't.
Cowboys don't wear skinny jeans, or they shouldn't. They shouldn't. But yeah,
unless you came they're built like Vance Forepaw.
Vance doesn't wear skinny jeans.
Those Wranglers are pretty skinny.
No, those are original cowboy cut, right?
Yeah,
no.
The cowboy cut.
Anyway, you came up with a solution to that crisis there.
Yeah, and we have, I've bustled numerous amount of dresses. You've gone out and got Taco Bell for the wedding party the day of a wedding because they needed food before the wedding started.
Food runs, a couple beer runs.
Lots of beer runs.
I've sewn buttons back on jackets.
Yeah.
I've folded hundreds of pocket squares. Yeah, just the little things to help out. Not my job, not my problem. Like, sorry, dude, you don't know how to fold your pocket square? You don't know how to tie a tie?
Yeah.
Huh? Well, find a solution. No, just be the solution.
Yeah. Mm-hmm. Step up and do there's a really big mentality, I think, among our generation and younger of that's not my job. Mm-hmm. And as a photographer, that's not my job. But I want to strengthen the herd. I want everybody to have a great day. So if it's going to take me an extra 2 seconds to bustle your dress because I've done 15 of them and your bridesmaid is 14 years old and has no idea what she's doing, like, I'll bustle your dress, man. It's not a big deal.
Adorable, but useless.
Yeah.
It's okay.
I'll take a picture of her pretending to bustle it, and then we'll get on with it. So you can go eat your cake and enjoy your wedding and not be stressed. Yeah. Like, in all of that, I've been looking, at what does our future in photography, in ranching, how do I strengthen our herd now that we have kids? I'll tell you, I don't want to be away from our kids for 12 to 14 hours shooting a wedding right now. Not while they're still relying on me for breastfeeding. Not while they're, not capable of being away from me. And some people, like, don't think that that's the right decision. They think that you need more space from your kids, things like that. I don't feel that way. If that works for you and your family, that's great. Like, if you can head back to work at 6 weeks postpartum and work 40 hours a week while your kid goes to daycare, amazing, because I can't. Like, yeah, I think if that's the right thing for your herd, that's the right thing for your herd. And so what am I going to do to still maintain a business I love and enjoy, but still prioritizing our family? And
it's tough to justify, like, going out and working those long days, those long hours to bring in money. And if it was just that, okay, that makes sense. Yeah. But you're spending all that time away from your family to go work for someone else and then give that money away to someone completely different who's taking care of your kid.
Yeah.
You're working so that you can pay someone else to raise your kid.
Yeah.
And, I mean, sometimes that's just what it has to be. There's nothing wrong with working moms. Like, that's awesome. But the way we've structured our lives and tried to build our family, it's just not right for us.
Well, we worked so hard to get kids that I can't imagine saying peace out for 8 hours every day. Like, it's just not something that I even have a remote desire to do. So that has put me in a position where I feel like I need to reframe what these businesses look like for us. Does that mean that I change photography to be doing mini sessions and work one weekend a month? Does that mean I take on more commercial work and work, a couple days a month? Does that mean I just step back completely for 2 years until they're not needing me? But all of those decisions are decisions that we will make together. And I think you've always, in photography in particular, let me take the lead on those things. In what I feel is right for the business or us and things like that. But not to say you don't have input.
Well, everything, really. I mean, you're the brains behind the operation for photography, for ranching, for like all the business stuff, the head stuff, the planning stuff, the organizational stuff, the accounting stuff, all that stuff.
Yeah.
You're the brains of the operation, and I carry your camera equipment around for you, and I set it up, and I build fences and I haul hay and I break ice and water. Like it's
a team.
Yeah, it's a team. I'm good at that and you're good at the other stuff.
And so, we'll make these decisions for our family and what is going to strengthen our herd the most.
Yeah.
And I look at every decision like that, big ones, like what is my business going to look like moving forward, all the way down to, man, I would really like a new camera body.
Oh, we've been saying that for a couple of years now.
Yeah. But
a few years. And this would have been a good year to do it, right?
Yeah.
At the same time that we're having a kid and having to scale things back.
Yeah.
So it worked out well that we didn't, but
we make like all of those decisions and spur of the moment decisions and big decisions come back to what is going to strengthen our family, what is going to help and benefit it. And, we don't know the answers for the photography business right now. Still working on that. Mm-hmm. And right now I'm high risk and in my pregnancy.
Okay, thank you. I was like, high risk in what regard?
Yeah.
Because nothing we do is low risk.
No,
but specifically,
high risk in my pregnancy, and then I'll be postpartum. So
yeah,
we have a little bit of time to figure that out, which is the plan. That also leads me to the ranch, and how are we making decisions for the ranch, the bison business? What can I contribute moving forward to strengthen our herd? Does that mean I don't have a green thumb to save my life? Does that mean I learn? Does that mean we get a garden and we start growing fruits and vegetables and as much as we possibly can so that we know that our kids aren't getting doused with tons of Roundup?
Yeah. Yeah, because that's a big thing that we talked about before. We'll just touch on it real quick. Just, okay, you go to the grocery store and you're going to buy fresh produce to make your dinner. Awesome.
Yeah.
Excellent step in the right direction. But what grocery store are you going to? Mm-hmm. And
where do they source it from?
Exactly, where do they source it from? And we can ask the same questions for anything. You try to be as clean as you want, but the trail that you got to run down to really find the original source of the stuff, it's hard to do.
Yeah.
So you do the best you can. But yeah, gardening, you should definitely try that.
Yeah.
Again.
And, I've gone down the rabbit hole of meat chickens. And
I really have a pretty strong interest in meat rabbits.
Yeah.
I want to give it.
I don't know
weird,
that I'm as sold on rabbits. Like,
well,
I get it, but there's something in my head about eating bunny foo-foo that I'll get over it. I'll do it because it's the right thing for the kids. And, it's a good, clean source of protein.
Yeah. But your interest in meat chickens is, a good one. We've seen a lot of people make a go at it. And, not in a business sense, but just you're going to spend these 8 weeks taking care of these chicks and you're going to have a weekend of processing, but then you've got chicken to last your family the rest of the year.
Yeah.
As long as you can keep your freezer cold, you've got chicken to last a long time. We do turkeys. It's not all that different.
Yeah, we love doing turkeys every year for Thanksgiving. Anybody who comes gets a farm fresh, huge, giant turkey.
Ranch raised. Goliath turkeys. Except I overcooked them this year. Sorry to everybody. Again, I overcooked them. They were dry.
Yeah. Does that mean ranching? Or does that mean gardening? Does that mean, meat chickens and pigs? Mm-hmm. And at what point is that the right decision for us? It's probably not the right decision to go get pigs in the middle of winter while I'm high risk pregnancy and I can't help take care of them.
Yeah.
Because you have a day job. But, 9 months from now, it might be the right time. And being prepared to make those decisions so that in some way or another, I'm contributing to the family very differently than the way that you are. You can pay for those things, but if I can save us money by learning how to take that chicken that we grew in the yard and make it stretch out of 3 meals, then I need to learn how to do that. And so, applying strengthen your herd into ranching is, how can we provide for our ranch and our family? And at what point is that turned into the business side too? Is this, we only raise chickens for us? Like we've done turkeys. People have offered or asked us to raise turkeys for them. And I kind of laugh because nobody wants to pay $300 for a Thanksgiving turkey.
It's like a $300 turkey. And that's a little bit of exaggeration, but
not much. It's a couple hundred if I do the math right.
Yeah.
The first year, because we had to add the coop and all of that stuff, those were like $1,000 turkeys. Our costs have gone down a little bit now that I know what I'm doing. But, at what point do we scale that up? And, if we're doing farmers markets and stuff, we offer bison and chicken, or, bison and different bone broths, or tallow products, or shirts and t-shirts and hoodies and stuff. What are the different ways that I can make our lifestyle pay the bills? And we've talked about it a couple of times now on the podcast. We didn't choose this to get rich. We knew we weren't going to get rich. We knew it was going to be a struggle. I don't know that we quite were prepared for how much of a struggle. But we always have said that it's the hard we chose.
Yeah.
And it's hard. And there's something about doing hard when somebody else is telling you what you have to do versus a hard you chose. And we chose this life, and now we have to make it work for us and our family, because that's what we want. We want to live a lifestyle where I'm home with my kids and somebody else isn't raising them, and I know what they're eating. And not to say we're perfect. We have Oreos on the nightstand upstairs. We're not perfect. We know we won't be perfect parents. We know their nutrition won't be perfect. But setting the foundation to do the best that we can, knowing as much as we do know about what's out there and what causes some of the issues we've had and things like that, or that's important to strengthening our herd. Yeah. So when I think of strengthen your herd, I try to look at, our immediate first, and our marriage, our kids, our finances, our ranch. And in doing that, in making all of those decisions on a small scale, all of a sudden you're looking at it, and how many people are we affecting by doing that? By raising our own turkeys, by raising our own meat? How many of our friends have a freezer full of meat because we chose to do this crazy thing? How many of our friends and family have learned the benefits of eating clean protein and their health? Our sister-in-law, Amanda, Michael's sister, has been incredible and has breastfed all the way up until like 20 months, I think, our niece. And she went through a period of time there where her supply was down. And we gave her some bison, said, try this. And she was getting more pumped breast milk than she'd ever gotten. And now it's
called the power of the buff.
Yeah. Now she chooses
bison advantage
to eat like that because we took this crazy leap. How many people have, we talked to at conferences and things like that where, our first conference, we walked in and we sat in the parking lot first for 20 minutes and we were like, these people are going to laugh us out of here. Like, we are two suburban kids. The biggest thing we've ever owned or touched is our Great Dane, which is not a ranch dog. And they are going to laugh us out of here. And we walked in and we were welcomed with open arms. Everybody was an open book. The bison community really is the definition of strengthen your herd. There is the term community over competition is huge. It's very much demonstrated in that world. And I don't think a lot of the ag world does a great job of demonstrating that, but the bison community really does. We were invited to dozens of ranches. We had somebody invite us over for dinner, literally open up their books and their finances and say, this is how we did it. This is what you should do, but we're not telling you what to do. But if you want to make this work, this is what you should do. Or, we had people tell us, like, don't buy these things because we have them. You can use ours.
Yeah. Those are our neighbors, and they, we have this, that, and the other. So as you start building your ranch, don't spend your money on that.
Yeah.
Like, we're a half mile away. We just go back and forth all the time.
I think that feeling we got after that conference was the definition of strengthen your herd to me. It was the definition of community over competition, of there's room for all of us at that table. Like, there's so many, little sayings and spinoffs that really portray the same thing of helping each other. Mm-hmm. Like, just make decisions for other people and help them. And it isn't always easy, but it really isn't that hard either.
Yeah. Well, how many of our friends who, when they were conveniently located, wanted to support us and chase the bison dream, and
I'll be the first one to buy a bison.
We'll buy meat from you, and we'll help you build the fence and this and that. And you think they're going to drive north of Highway 34? No.
That's even pushing it.
We've been up here how many years, and those people still just cheering us on from a distance, long distance. And it's fine. We appreciate the support.
For sure.
But then you look at how many people have come from out of state. Yeah. Friends in South Dakota that I'm like, hey, I'm in a bind. We have to round these animals up this weekend. Can you help? And like, yep, we will be there all day Saturday for you. We're going to drive from another state to be there to help you work 30 animals, which is a joke. Yeah. And that's how people do it.
We've called cousins and uncles, and they've literally taken a flight the next weekend because the stress was overtaking you, to the point you don't ask for help, to the point that I called. I said, we need help. We can't do this. Mm-hmm. And those are big monumental gestures. Yeah. Those are, they might not feel like that to them. They are huge to us. And that happens within the community. It happens within our friends and family who have stepped up and helped. We are the ones who decided to do this. And we are the ones who are crazy. But the amount of people who have supported us in it has been incredible to witness. Yeah. That is strengthen your herd. Mm-hmm. And bringing that out in other people is what the goal is. Mm-hmm. And not for our own benefit. It has benefited us. But to see that there are still people out there, to have that little glimpse of like, wow, those people went out of their way and they didn't have to, is what it's about. Mm-hmm. So if by making small decisions, like for you and I and our health, hey, Tiffany's having a flare, we're going to start eating carnivore. Yeah. And the next thing we know, down. Yeah. Next thing we know, we own a bison ranch because we can't afford to buy bison at the grocery store.
Yeah. And it was a much more sensible decision to buy a ranch and build a fence and then buy animals. That's how we overcame the sticker shock of bison at the store, is Yeah.
By taking on way more than
Yeah.
we ever dreamed. But
It adds up. Yeah. The math works.
but then if we hadn't done that, would we have had our 2 kids? They're miracle kids. They came from eating this way. Those are the only things we changed when IVF failed.
Yeah.
Would we have the church community we have? Would we have the friends all over the country that we have that we can call on, or we can go to them? Things like that just really solidify that we're on the right track for me. That strengthen your herd is more than just a business slogan. And that's what it means to me. It means living our lives in a way that promotes that same decision-making, behavior, sentiment in other people. And that's what I hope strengthen your herd means to other people. It means something different to everybody else, but I hope that in the end, we're all reaching towards the same goal of raising everybody's boat, making sure that we're all getting a hand up when we need it. All of those cheesy little sayings that come to mind when I think of strengthen your herd and do the right. Yeah. Strengthen your herd.
Cool. Strengthen your herd. There it is.
I think that's it. It's a wrap.
All right.
Bye.